Hi everybody and welcome back to the 75th season of Bearcat Update. I'm your host Jason Holland and today we'll be updating you on how seasons are looking for our fall sports. From football's big win in Topeka to the new faces we will see in the winter on the basketball court and everything in between. Let's get it! The Bearcat football team looked to keep the ball rolling as they headed into Topeka, Kansas to take on the Washburn Ichabods yesterday. After jumping out to an early 14-0 lead, it looked as if the Bearcats would glide their way to victory. But the Ichabods had other plans as they made a late first half comeback, trailing the Bearcats only 20-14 heading into the break. The Bearcat offense came out firing in the second half though. Long drives and a couple of timely field goals from kicker Noah Gastella gave the Bearcats a comfortable lead. A fumble recovery on kickoff and 2 interceptions by reigning MIAA Defensive Player of the Week, Carter Edwards, only solidified the Bearcats' lead. Running back Tank Young also led the way on offense with 134 yards on only 12 carries. The Bearcats head to Edmond, Oklahoma to take on the undefeated Broncos in a highly anticipated contest next Saturday. Make sure to tune in. On the topic of the football team, our producer Killian Beck is adding his insight and football knowledge into Bearcat Update this semester. Let us know what you think in the comments section down below. Take it away, Killian.
Throughout decades of Bearcat football excellence, it has been customary for Northwest to find themselves atop the standings in Division II. But the real question is this: which season is the best version of the Bearcats? The Bearcats have finished 8 seasons in their century of play with a perfect record. But today, we're going to focus on the most recent occurrence, as the 2016 Bearcats finished the season with a 15-0 record and a national championship victory against North Alabama to top it all off. The reason I believe the 2016 Bearcats to stand atop the legendary teams in Northwest history is due to one factor: dominance. The 2016 Bearcats were never challenged by their opponents, as they racked up an immense plus 502 point differential, meaning that on average, they defeated their opponents by 33.5 points per game. This is both a testament to the dominant offense, as they scored a ridiculous 45.5 points per game, but as much as an impressive defense that allowed just 12 points per game. When talking about Bearcat greatness, many will point to the previous year's Bearcats, or even the Churchma-led Bearcats as the best of all time. But here on this show, we have the facts to back it up. When compared to the first national champion Bearcats of 1998, despite both being phenomenal teams, the defensive presence in 2016 is what separates them from the other great Northwest football teams. As we can see on the stats right here, it is a very close race between the three of them. But ultimately, it's just the fact that 2016 is just slightly better in every single category that matters in the grand scheme of things. Ultimately, all 3 of these teams are phenomenal, but my pick for the greatest Bearcat football team rests with the 2016 group. The slight edge in offensive and defensive production and winning each game by multiple scores was ultimately what settled it for me. We'll be back next time as we find out the greatest statistical season by a Northwest offensive player in football history. This has been Killian Beck with Bearcat Update, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
The volleyball team traveled to Gross Memorial Coliseum to take on Fort Hays on Friday. Senior Abby Brunson led the way on offense, reaching double figures in kills for the 11th time in the past 13 matches. Sophomore Ella Caffrey helped add to the production with 35 assists and 4 kills of her own. The Bearcats swept the Tigers in 3 sets, winning all by 5 or more points. The ladies looked to carry this momentum leading into yesterday's match against the number 3 ranked Nebraska Kearney Lopers, but unfortunately fell short 3-1. The Bearcats fought hard, but the handful of attack errors made it difficult to make a late run against the undefeated Lopers. The ladies are back in action in Bearcat Arena Tuesday at 6 p.m. For more on the volleyball team, our reporter Zac Scott sat down with 2 of the Bearcat senior leaders, Abby Brunson and Olivia Durr. Take it away, Zac.
Welcome back to Tenacity, the show where we talk about the highest energy team at Northwest. the volleyball team. In this episode, we won't be taking a dive into stats or gameplay, but rather looking at the players themselves and what keeps them going. I had an opportunity to talk with two of the volleyball team players, being Abby Brunson and Olivia Durr, where we learn what keeps them motivated.
You know, I've kind of asked myself a lot that this year. So the 5 girls that are in my class, us all super seniors, we all came in together when we were our freshman year. And a couple years ago, we were like, guys, like we have a 5th year, and we're like, okay, we're either all taking it or we're all not taking it. We're a very close group, so we're like, we want to come in together and go out together.
Kind of like what she said, like the friendships, having so many girls that have stayed for their 5th year, like that's not common. So like having all of our best friends with us for 5 years is like definitely one of the main things, and also just like having the fulfillment of saying I can be a college athlete for 5 years is definitely something not many people can say.
Everyone has a reason to do what they love. For the women of the volleyball team, it's the family and friends that push them to succeed.
Obviously my parents, as I've gotten older, like I've been very grateful for everything, like the time and the trips to travel volleyball tournaments that they put in, and they are at every single game, they never miss one, so they've gotten me to where I am.
I don't have any like really sports heroes, but I would say my dad. My dad struggled through like many things growing up. He had cancer, he had a tumor, like different stuff like that, and he still like came back and then like is like still into like very lifting and stuff. So to me, like it's like if he could overcome those things, I can overcome like an injury or something so small.
Everybody wants to be remembered, not for what they did, but rather who they were, both on and off the court.
I've learned so much in my years just being in college, like to not take it for granted is one thing. Like I only have, well, most people only have 4 years, but I have 5 years in college with some of my best friends, living with them, like hanging out every night, and like we have a lot of watch parties and stuff, and it also taught me a lot of discipline. I'd say is my like other answer on the other side.
Just learning to like be able to communicate your feelings. I feel like in college it's like very hard because you go through so many different cycles of life, and being able to like have someone to talk to and be like, I'm actually struggling, or like I'm not doing good today, like I need someone to pick me up. I think that was hard because it's like I've always been like I have 2 older sisters, like being the tough one of them, so it's like hard to be like, yeah, I'm not my strongest day.
These women may have joined the team as kids, but they matured into leaders and veterans of the game they love.
I'd say I'm a much more confident player than I am now, and my leadership skills have changed a lot. Like my role has changed since I committed here when I was 17 to now being 23. But yeah, she has changed a lot. If I could talk to 17-year-old me, I think her mind would be blown.
Like confidence. I mean, I would say I always had confidence, but it's just a different level when you're in college, like knowing that like, okay, like I didn't play this game, but I can come in at any point and I will get like a swing. Like having that confidence in yourself, like I don't think I had that back then, and being able to like I said, talk about my feelings, that's also another confidence like that I gained. So just, yeah, that's kind of, confidence is a big thing.
Everyone has their own path, and the path for Brunson and Durr was different, but at the end of the day, they both found the right place at the right time on the united front of MIAA volleyball. I'm Zac Scott with Bearcat Update, taking it back to you, Jason.
After inviting Northeastern to a senior day 2-1 victory last weekend, the Bearcat soccer team headed south for a 2-game road trip on Friday. Stop number 1 took the team to Edmond, Oklahoma to take on the Central Oklahoma Broncos. The ladies started fast, totaling 3 corner kicks in the first half. A hard attack from the Broncos in the second half left the Bearcats on their heels, but with the help of 8 saves from senior sensation Lily Ellis, the ladies were able to hold the score to an even 0-0 tie. Shots on goal from 4 Bearcats, including 2 from sophomore McKenna West, did not prove to be enough to pull out the W, but the Cats will look to return to their winning ways in the second game of their road trip today against the Newman Jets. Hey, it's halftime. If you like what you see, make sure to like and subscribe and click the bell to be the first to know when we post new content. But as we head into our first break of the show, make sure to stick around to catch our first meeting with the Bearcat cheer team. We'll be right back.
Running since 1971, broadcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Featuring programs and news from National Public Radio, as well as Americana, jazz, and classical music. KXCV 90.5 FM Maryville, KNRW 88.9 FM Chillicothe.
Television connects. We put our heart and soul into delivering a quality broadcast just for you. Whether it's sports, community events, and much more, we have fun bringing these events to you. KNWT Live brings that feeling of being at Northwest anywhere you go. So join us in the experience.
Welcome back to Bearcat Update. Our reporter Jake Walker sat down with one of his teammates on the cheer team so you can get to know them and their story. Take it away, Jake.
Welcome back to Meet the Cheer Team. This week, we're continuing on with meeting our girls who go in the air.
My name is Riley Sapp. I'm a senior. It's my third year on the team, and I'm a flyer, and my major is Applied Health Science.
Similar to many other girls on the team, Riley got her start in cheer through a different but similar sport.
I started gymnastics when I was very young, like a baby, and I translated those skills into high school cheerleading, and then when I came here to Northwest, I decided that I wanted to keep doing it because I loved the games and all the competitions.
After spending a year outside of the sport, Riley decided it was time to get back into the uniform and go perform once again.
Leading up to my senior year of high school, I came up to Northwest to cheer with some of the girls on the team because I knew somebody, and I just noticed the community and how great the people were on the team. And so I actually went to KU for 3 days, but then decided that Northwest was where my heart was at because I wanted to cheer, and I had already met some people up here.
Since joining the team, there have been many changes to the Bearcat cheer team, but Riley has taken all of them with open arms.
I feel like within myself, I've changed a lot as a person and as a cheerleader. I feel like I've grown to be more outgoing and be more of a leader on the team. But within the team, I feel like everybody has gotten a lot closer since my first year. I just feel like we all have a really good family-oriented relationship, and I feel like we really push each other.
Being a cheerleader at Northwest means you sign up to be a part of two kinds of teams, and Riley has been on both.
So definitely for the competition team, it's a lot more hardcore. We go 5 days a week, and it's pretty rigorous, whereas with game day and stuff, it's more upbeat and fun. We're practicing our sidelines to get the crowd involved, and they're really fun. So it's definitely more serious when it comes to competitions, but more relaxed and fun when it comes to game day.
With this year being Riley's last dance, she shares some words of encouragement for any future Bearcats.
I would say to definitely join the cheer team. I know that I was on the fence a little bit. I ended up not cheering my freshman year here, actually. But then once I saw everybody cheering on the sidelines, I knew that I wanted to join. So my biggest piece of advice would just to go for it, try out, try your best. And if you're worried about time management and everything, to not worry about it. The coach is very flexible, and academics come first. I know that's something that I was very stressed about, but it isn't an issue.
That's all the time we have with the cheer team. We're going to swing this one back over to your host. Take it away, Jason.
Thanks, Jake. The women's golf team placed second in the Southwest Minnesota State Invitational last weekend out of a 12-team field. The Bearcats put up a school record 36-hole team total of 597, marking it the first time the Bearcats have posted a sub-600 total in a 36-hole event. Senior Paige Hoffman's two-round total of 143 ranks as the best 36-hole performance in Northwest history, knocking in 6 birdies along the way. Freshman Lexi Bartley gained her first top 10 finish with a two-round total of 150. The ladies head to Edmond, Oklahoma to compete in the Grace-Shin Invitational this week. After winning 4 national championships in his time with the Bearcats, seeing a coach like Ben McCollum leave is not an easy pill to swallow for Northwest. But arms are open wide and hopes are high for the new hiring of head basketball coach Matt Keeley. Posting a 113-89 record in his previous coaching stint at Ottawa University, Arizona, Keeley looks to keep his winning ways going here at Northwest. The Bearcats will begin their season on November 8th at the Hilliard Tip-Off Classic in St. Joe against Augustana, playing multiple games in the lead-up to their November 29th home opener against Graceland. For more insight on how things might be different with the head coaching change for the basketball team, We throw it over to our reporter, Reece Hill.
For the better part of the last 15 years, there was a reasonable expectation that the Bearcat men's basketball team would finish the season atop the MIAA standings and compete for a national championship. But with the season set to tip off in just a month, fans aren't sure what to expect. Since Ben McCollum took over as head coach in 2009, Northwest has been one of, if not the best basketball program in Division II basketball. In Coach McCollum's tenure, the Bearcats won 394 games, 12 MIAA titles, including 11 straight, and 4 national championships. Even when heartbreak strikes and something like this happens.
This is what college basketball is all about. 42-41 Bearcats, 5 seconds to go. First free throw by Dreamer is no good. Rebound. They're not going to take a timeout. Malik across the timeline. Malik to Hayskamp for the win. His shot is up. Yes! Elijah Hayskamp hits the jumper at the buzzer. And Minnesota State is going to...
There has always been hope that under McCollum's leadership, we would bounce right back and compete at a high level at the other end of the offseason. But Coach McCollum is gone now. On April 1st, it was announced that he would be taking the opportunity to jump to the Division I level with the Drake Bulldogs. Shortly after, multiple players followed their coach, committing to play for the Bulldogs. Now the Bearcats turn to new head coach Matt Keeley. Keeley has a truly fascinating background as a head coach. Named the first head coach in Ottawa University, Arizona history, Keeley led his team to an appearance in the National Christian College Athletic Association Championship game in just their 4th year of existence. Keeley knows how to win. In 7 seasons as head coach of Ottawa, the Spirit finished with a winning record 5 times, including 4 seasons with a win percentage greater than 63. Lost among the mass exodus of last year's starting lineup were some of the quality pickups that were made. From the transfer portal, the Bearcats brought in guard Emery Knox, a sharpshooter who averaged 12.7 points on 41.5% shooting from beyond the arc. Northwest was also able to bring in a promising freshman group, including Marcus Glock, who is the 7th-ranked prospect in the state of Nebraska, according to Max Preps. As the quest for a 12th straight MIAA title begins, no one really knows what this season is going to look like. This year's team is going to look a lot different from last season. A lot of key players from years past are no longer around, but the one thing we can be sure of is that the Bearcats are in good hands as we march into a new era.
Welcome back to Bearcat Update. We're going to switch it up a bit and send it over to Wiley Ray and Jackson Phelps of X106.7 to go in depth on yesterday's win against Washburn.
Thanks, Jason. I'm Wiley Ray, and with me is Jackson Phelps. And Jackson, it was a big win for the Bearcats as they go to Topeka and get a 51-34 win over the Ichabods.
You know, huge win. The atmosphere there, the Bearcat fans always travel great. And just Topeka, just 2 hours down the road, so it was really cool to see the Bearcat faithful out there. But again, that defense, 3 weeks in a row, I mean, they came out hitting hard, you know, allowing, you know, just a couple of, you know, points there and there, but the offense today meshed really well with the help of Tank Young. Luke Matthews, Runke played good, so it was really great. Really great to see offense and defense play great again.
Yeah, you look at how the Bearcats started out going 14-0 in the first. Then at halftime it was 20-14 in favor of the Bearcats, and then from then on it seemed like it was all Northwest Missouri State from there.
It was, you know, coming out of that first half, you know, they kind of kept it close, not the way that the Bearcats wanted to end it, but in that second half, I mean, they just kind of let the offense do their job, and it was really great to see the offense, you know, put points on the board, make some great plays. You know, it was a tough outing against Emporia State, kind of slow to start and a slow finish, but that offense, and Runke led that team really well down the field, and that defense, I mean, that defense has played outstanding the last 3 weeks, so this team right now has been fun to watch and cover.
Yeah, you just kind of look at Runke's stats a little bit. You know, he had 3 interceptions last week at home against Emporia State, and then this week had only 1 and canceled it out with that touchdown, but the longest one, a 44-yard touchdown pass, and, you know, overall went 16 for 27, just a hair over 200 yards, but still nonetheless a great day for Chris Runke. And, you know, the Bearcats really have just going with a different approach, being with the passing game rather than the rushing game.
You know, it was a way different approach, you know, because the run game for the Bearcats has been the struggle all year on the offensive side of the ball. And to get to see guys like Tank Young, Treshawn Porter going out there to play, I mean, they had a bunch of guys run the ball. So it was really great to see the Bearcats utilizing the run game, you know, after having a struggle with that all season. So props to them.
You know, and not only the passing game, but that rushing game. I mean, Tank Young, 12 attempts, 135 yards, you know, averaging 11 on the play. And so really it's just, you know, that rushing game, even Dominic Myers getting some touches, Jackson Miller, Tashawn Porter, Jaden Brady, they're all getting touches, which is something you like to see. And, you know, really that spreads out the rush game as we get farther into what I'll say the heavier half of conference play.
You know, same thing with the run and the passing game. A bunch of guys getting touches on the field there. So great to see that Coach Wright is using that depth, and Coach started using that depth on the offensive side. Just for future years, you know, player goes down, you got to get the guys right in there with fresh legs to go fill in those spots when needed. So great to see a bunch of guys touch the ball yesterday.
Yeah, and you just kind of look ahead to next week, and this one's a big game for the Bearcats. I mean, this one right now, both teams have circled on their calendar, I feel like, and really it's just, you know, honestly, it's a big game both teams have on their calendar as the Bearcats go to Central Oklahoma. And, you know, last year the Bearcats got the win in Edmond, 34-21. But, you know, this year it's a completely different ball game for the Broncos.
It's a completely different look for them. I mean, you got guys like Jet Huff, Jalen Cottrell on that offense. This offense looks scary for the Broncos. I mean, you just hit on it. They have been hitting the marks on the offensive side of the ball in the MIAA all year. So this team's definitely going to be the toughest matchup for the Bearcats yet, I believe. So I said that about Emporia, but looking at the way that Central Oklahoma has been playing, I definitely think this team is our biggest test. So the Bearcats definitely have something big ahead of them. But the way the defense has been playing, I mean, they can totally hold their own.
Yeah, no doubt about that one. And, you know, we're going to, just like the Bearcats, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll send it over to Jaden Varner, who will preview next week's schedule. Take it away, Jaden.
Hey, thanks, Wiley. I've got a good one for you today. Welcome back to Next Week in Bearcat Sports, the show that keeps you in the know. We've got a lot to cover this week, so let's get right into it. Football is back on the road this week after traveling to Washburn this last Saturday. They'll be headed to Edmond, Oklahoma to take on the Central Oklahoma Broncos. This will be another important measuring stick game for the Bearcats, so let's take a dive into the statistics. The Broncos come into this game supporting the #1 offense in the MIAA, averaging about 53 points a game, which is 10 more points a game than the next closest team. This game will be the definition of unstoppable force meets an immovable object, as the Bearcats come into this game supporting the #1 defense in the MIAA, letting up an average of 17 points a game. The rushing attack will by far be the biggest factor in this game for Central Oklahoma, as it leans heavily on the legs of Jalen Cottrell and William Mason, who have combined for over 800 yards on the ground. The Bearcats defense has handled the run very well this season and will look to keep that up if they want to walk out with a dub. My player spotlight for this week is Carter Edwards. He leads the team in tackles for loss and will need to keep finding his way into the backfield to trip up the Broncos' run game. Give me the Bearcats in a close one, 24-21. Soccer will be back home this weekend after being on the road this last weekend in Oklahoma and Kansas. The Bearcats have won once and tied twice at home. This season, the only one came last Sunday against Northeastern. The two ties came against #2 ranked Grand Valley State and #15 ranked Minnesota State. They have played well against top competition this season. Coming to town this weekend is Central Missouri, the Mules on Friday, and Rogers State Hillcats on Sunday. The Bearcats will look to rely on Lily Ellis this weekend as she leads the MIAA in saves this season. The Bearcats will need to get the ball rolling as they are only 8th in the MIAA for goals. My player spotlight for this weekend will be Katrina Tejardas. My prediction this weekend will be a 2-1 victory Friday and a 2-0 victory on Sunday. Volleyball will be in action Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday this week, but for the sake of time, let's look at Tuesday's matchup against Mo West. This will be the 32nd meeting between these two teams, with the Bearcats leading the series 19-12. The last time these two teams played, the Griffins got the better of the Bearcats. This week, Northwest looks to get their 20th win over the Griffins. Much like soccer, the volleyball team has played well against ranked opponents, including wins against #21 West Florida and #24 Washburn. The Bearcats look to rely on Abby Brunson, who's my spotlight player for volleyball. As always, make sure to go out and support your Bearcat sports, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Jaden, and welcome back to BC with the X. I'm Wiley Ray, with me with Jackson. And Jackson, we couldn't forget to talk about the head coach matchup between head coach of the Bearcats, Rich Wright, and the old head coach of the Bearcats, Adam Dorrell, who now is under the regime at Central Oklahoma. And you look at these two coaches, and they were a perfect fit when they were together, and now is head-to-head. It's really going to shape up to be a good Saturday.
It really is. You look at some of the numbers. Rich Wright currently 63-19 as the Bearcats. Adam Dorrell with the Bearcats 76-8. So definitely some of the best winning coaches in Northwest history. Now MIAA titles, Rich Wright has 3, Dorrell has 4. But we look on that championship side. Dorrell has those 3 national championships, while Rich Wright still does not have a championship here in Maryville.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to look at that stat line and go, Wright was the defensive coordinator for Dorrell in that time span, and so you look at that time span, you really think, Rich Wright helped get those 3 national titles. So
yeah,
even if it wasn't as a head coach, he still has 3 titles as a coach, and you just look at these two guys, and man, I mean, it's going to make everything interesting. Dorrell's bringing that Bearcat-esque offense to Edmond, Oklahoma, and so you're seeing the flashes of Central Oklahoma, but it's also a flash of Northwest Missouri State in the early 2010s.
It totally is. You look at that defense from Northwest with Rich Wright has stayed the same ever since he was the defensive coordinator for Dorrell. That is a big reason why they won those 3 national championships. You hit on that perfectly. But yeah, Dorrell's bringing that offensive side of Northwest Bearcat football to UCO, and we've seen that this year, especially getting guys like Jed Huff, Jalen Cottrell, who I've hit on, making their names and making their marks. This offense has looked better than it ever has in years past, and thanks to Adam Dorrell bringing that over from Maryville over to Edmond, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, you look at how these two coaches fare, and really, Jackson, there's nothing other than this is MIAA championship gameplay. I mean, you look at how the MIAA looked at the beginning of the season, and now you look at how it is now. I mean, this is going to be really hard not to sit here and go, this is the game of the week, this is the game of the year right now in the MIAA.
100%. If the Bearcats can go in, like I was hitting on before we went to break, in Edmond, if they can go into Edmond and get a win there, I mean, that'll shape the season for the Bearcats the way they want it to. That is looking towards the playoffs and looking towards the future. We could totally see the Bearcats make a championship push like they have in years past if they can go out and play the way they have on the defensive side of the ball, especially, and if the offense can get moving against that UCO defense.
It'll be a great matchup next week in Edmond, Oklahoma. But just like the Bearcats are on break, we're going to join them as we take our final commercial break of the show. Stick around as we wrap up this week's episode.
Finger paints. Water. Egg. Glue. Glitter. By golly, it's perfect.
What is it?
It's loosely related. Thursdays at noon.
That's all the time that we have for you this week. I'm your host, Jason Holland, and this has been Bearcat Update, the provider of complete coverage of Northwest sports. We are live every Sunday at 1, and you can find us on YouTube at KNWT TV. As well as Bearcat Update, you can watch KNWT's other content as well. Thank you all for watching, and we'll be back in no time.